Live from the MC.
So Jason, I know that for other viewers, I don't know if you feel comfortable sharing this, but for those that don't know, Jason is a licensed gun owner in the state of New York. Yeah. And honestly, I didn't even think that was a thing. I thought like you had to own a business in order for you to like own a license, especially in the state of New York.
Gotcha. It's very, very tough. They make it extremely. It was a thing I forgot. This was like years and years before 2020. All this stuff. I do affordable housing. It's a lot of paperwork. Okay, it's very tedious. When I went to, the story behind it is I went to Georgia, and again, in most of America, having a gun is just like one of the most American things. You go to the South and the kids are all shooting. You go to the sporting range. I went to Marietta, Georgia, and we went to like a sporting goods store, and we just were like firing. I went in. We watched a video for about 30 seconds. They laughed at me when they looked at my New York license. They're like, oh, we'll give them this little like dinky little 9mm. And what scared me was that I did not know anything at all. So it was because it's such a thing.
It was the first time you held the gun, and they didn't give you instructions, anything. They was like, oh, nothing. Like just here's the gun.
And go to, literally give you a 1 minute thing, like, don't point at anyone's face. Don't see what's going on.
So were you expecting like a tutorial or a video, some type of safety feature? Well, maybe
I was with a friend of mine who I went to college with him, and he lives his family in the land there. So we just thought it was fun. I was visiting him and his family. I hadn't seen him in a long time. I went to college with him. He's got these 2 girls, and so I was just excuse me.
What state?
Georgia, Marietta, Georgia. So it's like right outside of Atlanta. And
shout out to ATL show.
Yeah, shout out to ATL. And so when I came, it was an eye-opening experience that I couldn't tell whether the gun was loaded or not. I couldn't tell. You know what I'm saying? Like I was just terrified because of my lack of knowledge in it.
They just gave you the gun. They were just like here.
No, but they don't give it to you loaded. They don't put one in the chamber for you. But my whole point was I don't but my point is because it's such a thuggery here. Like I just had never. And so when I came back to New York, this was maybe 2018, 2019. I went to the NYPD this before, BC, before Corona and all that, to 1PP. And I saw it. They make it impossible. But I was like, listen, I had never been in jail before. I'd never been even detained. I'd never even been in a pair of handcuffs before, And so I was like, whatever. But it is very extensive. You have to provide them people who, write affidavits for you, every, Social Security, birth certificate. And again, this is why you need these documents for all this stuff and see what's going on. Current license. They need to know where you're working. Pay stubs. You have to pay them a bunch of money up front. They make it as impossible. You pay them $700 up front. Then you don't hear from them for about 9 months. Or I didn't hear from them for 9 months. The NYPD. And then they were like, "Oh, hey, you're up now." You go in there. You have to pay them more money. They give you a slip of paper. And imagine, I didn't want to buy a gun. All I said to them was, I just want to learn how to use one. I want to be able to go to the range. And they told me this is what I had to do. They were like, oh, and they don't tell you how this works either, by the way. You're just kind of like figuring this out. And they're like, oh, no, that's not how it works. They give you a piece of paper. And they're like, you have 30 days now to go to a gun shop that's like one of their gun shops in the city. I think I went to Long Island or something. You give them, you get the gun, you put it in this very specific case, unchambered, this whole thing. And then you bring it back to 1PP. So imagine walking into, One Police Plaza downtown, it's like Center Street with a gat,
with the Toolie on.
With the Toolie in hand, okay? It's like a truly life-changing experience. I can remember walking in. Imagine you have to go through this metal detector area.
Sounds like a setup.
Oh, dude, think about it. As a black man, they have this giant, like, cop figure. I don't know if you've ever been to 1PP, but it's like this one giant, like, it's like very dystopian. Like, they have like this giant, like, it's like a Superman statue in the middle of a cop kind of like, you're just kind of walking in there with like your gun and they register. But I did an interview. Like I said, I have no, like I said, I've never hurt anyone. That was my whole point, is that everyone thinks of it as this like malicious thing because we kind of grew up in the hood. Everyone thinks of it as nothing but bad. But I don't think that anyone's coming to save you. Oh yeah, they interview you. Dude, I remember this cop who interviewed me, man. I'll never forget this white boy, huge. He was like an Army Ranger. He had like the parachute. Like a parachute guy, like he was airborne, like it was his whole forearm. I'll never forget it. And the guy, he looked at me and I was like, I had a citation from the park here in Dyckman from when I was like, I say like 15 years ago.
Yeah.
I was in the park after dark or after it closed, like after 10 or something like that. And I had to go to the next thing and like pay them like $20 or something like that and then go back in it. It's like that thorough. But the guy was like, I don't have anything on you. I was like, there's nothing, really isn't anything on me. And so, like I said, but it's not like a carry thing. It's at home. But like I said, I think that there's really no one who's going to save you and everyone seeing what's going on. And the rest of America here in New York City, they've made it this real thuggery thing. But like, I know that like you could probably go across the street and probably buy one dirty for $300-400 just because you need one, because there's obviously someone's bringing it in, and everyone talks about gun violence, but I always say the same thing. Guns weren't built. They don't make guns in Harlem. They don't make guns in Inwood. Remington's not here. Like, no one here. You know what I'm saying? Like the Glocks, they're not made. Someone's bringing those things in. Like if you really want to get down to gun violence, figure out who's bringing the illegal guns. I'm saying mine's illegal. Like in America, you're right. It is what it is. You just secure one of your rights and fully, but I try to eliminate the stigma, because it's not like I have no malice. I have, but at the end of the day, I'm not the first one that you're probably going to knock on my door. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm probably going to deter you pretty quick, depending on what's going on. Everyone thought I was crazy when I first did it, but then when 2020 happened, I didn't look that crazy anymore, And when the plague came, and all of a sudden people were like killing each other over toilet paper and whatever it is, it didn't seem like I was that nuts. Everyone was like, oh, that was real smart. I was like, hell yeah. All I'm saying is...
All I'm saying, you stay ready. You don't got to get ready.
Exactly. And for whatever I
see me? You see me? You see me?
Tekashi definitely believes in the strap. He's definitely getting the strap. And so, again, it's only in America, again, we grew up in this neighborhood where they have criminalized everything, but understanding the rest of America, it is glorified. It is, they're going to shooting camps. They do training. They do quick draw. Like, they are being trained like militias. Again, America has a very militia-ized, the citizen soldier thing is very... It's just part of America. Like, it is literally, they've been policing themselves, the slave patrols. That stuff is real, like that's even the Second Amendment. A lot of that was to protect, white people from like the black people they were bringing in. They were very afraid for a long time of revolts, and there were times where it was going on, and it literally, there's a slave act of I want to say 1740. This is off the top of the dome, but basically made it where like it didn't. Like, you should read this thing. It's crazy. You talk about, again, people want to talk about like, oh, everything is dead. But, again, unless you were white in this country, your probably your ancestry was discriminated like in writing. Like they made laws against you. They've made laws against Mexicans. They've made laws against Asians. Like anyone who basically has not been now white. We've limited, Muslim bans. We've had very specific groups, but it's almost everyone that basically just was non-white. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's all I'm saying. And I'm not even, again, and I think, even when I talk about these past things, I'm not trying to attack the current administrations. Like, I'm not trying to attack the CIA right now. I'm talking about, but hey, listen, this crime happened maybe in your organization, but it was maybe 20, 30 years ago. But I don't think that you should be able to absolve yourself. Like, it's not your fault, but like, if you just kind of ignore it, then it kind of then becomes a little bit more your fault. Like, but like, I get that, and I think there's a big difference between like the people and the government. You know what I'm saying? And people always like, oh, the Americans, and they think, like, but I was like, I got nothing to do with Biden. I got nothing to do with Trump. I didn't know Obama. I didn't know any of these people. I've never to say that these people even represent anything that has to do with me is so crazy, because like half the time they're even the person I voted for. It was, so we're just always been, and I mean, listen, and that's a historical thing. Like, you see what's going on, but the government and their past actions, or these bad actors, these politicians, these officials. Like, that's not like attacking America now. Has no attack on, there's no thing to the people there working now, part of this generation. That's what I'm saying, is that we need to be better, And I think that we're living in a society where, there was a time where, again, you were an immigrant, Americans, what they had though, the difference between, like white America and the rest of America for a long time was ammunition, with the guns, the Remingtons. The one thing that they mastered really quickly was, that's how they took over the West. That's where the cowboys, they made sure that like they were the ones that were armed. They made sure that no one else had arms. You know what I'm saying? That the Second Amendment, a lot of it was not extended. They talk about that a lot. I'm actually reading a book right now. I'm going to say it's called The Second. But talk about how how it's been used against us.
LaTooly changed the game.
Everything. It changed everything.
It changed everything.
It changed everything. And that's why these industrial powers, for a long time, that was the difference between like the savages and the non-savages. Is the non-savages they had were guns, they had bullets, they had learned, but that's truly once they got, World War I, the Gatling gun, like that changed everything. Where you literally didn't have to even like really face your enemy anymore. One of the really interesting books, another challenge I would say, or something you should look at is, it's actually an HBO special too, if you want to take a look at it. It's Exterminate All the Brutes. And I cannot recommend, and if you really want to think about, and listen, the original book was written by like a Swedish guy in 1992. This is not like some new thing. This is not like critical race theory. This is not like this is not some new. This is literally, it had to be translated from Swedish to English, and it's just all about like the history of basically for so long, it was all about destroying the natives, like when these Europeans. But the big thing that they had over everyone else, and they kind of added these things, like they were like better for other reasons. They were more moral, they were more cultured, they were more, that's why all of our society is, but the big thing was that they thought that eventually the natives were going to die off anyway. They were just kind of going to help them out, and seeing what's going on. And I think people don't really kind of realize that the last like 500 years of this kind of, colonial, these settlers, but it's been for so long, America was just like, it doesn't matter. You can kill all of them and it's yours. The land is yours. You just literally, they have bounties, and if you see what's going on, like, native, and everything is crazy, because if you think about America, everything here is named after like the Native Americans. It's kind of crazy, but all these towns, all these things, you'd be like, where do they get these names from? People are like, oh, they don't believe in like, they don't like Hispanics, but people live in like San Antonio, like Texicans don't like Mexicans, but they live in San Antonio. Like, it's just kind of a joke that they take, what I'm saying, that they took over, they took the names, but it's not like really their culture. But but that's it, it's just been this whole like, oh, okay, Florida, Miami, all those names, the Seminole, like if you go deep into the rabbit hole of these things, and I just think that you have to understand these things, so you can understand the pushbacks and the issues we're having right now in our society, and a lot of it is just, a lot of America just never had to, acknowledge a lot of its atrocities against a lot of people. Like they've done some awful things. Like America, dropped. Again, American government. This is the only 2 nuclear bombs dropped on civilian populations were America. It's so funny. Everyone's always afraid of like, oh, these countries with their nuclear weapons, but there's only one country that literally dropped 2 bombs in the same country in like totally civilian populations, not like military targets. Even Pearl Harbor was like a military base. We didn't go for the military base, and see what's going on. This wasn't like a soft. We went right into their town, and we're just like, boo. So you just have to, but you have to at least acknowledge some of this stuff. It's
Jason, can we get more into how to obtain a LaTooly in the state of New York?
Oh, sure. Oh, I'm saying exactly.
No, yes.
Listen, no.
Very...
No. But I'm just saying, just go through the process. It's a 50-step. You can listen. It's not.
Hold on. Did you say it's a 50-step?
Oh, it's got at least. I mean, like 45. Like there's like the sub points. They make it so like you don't want to do it. That's my whole point.
Okay, so in order to get a license, you have to go through a 50-step.
I mean, it's something like process. That. It's like a 3-page application, which like all the things that you need. But it is very tedious. I mean, it took me just to get the documents I needed to apply a few months, but I was determined. To get my Toolie. Like, I was like, you know what? Yeah. This is America. I never hurt anybody. This is available to me. I had the money. And I was just like, I was a grown man kind of thing. I was like, listen, man, I don't, I have my very conservative godparents, and they live in Florida and this stuff. And, they're very anti. I remember last year, all the BLM and all. And I didn't go to any of the things.
So anybody sitting at home right now that's wondering, that's a New Yorker, because our audience is pretty much New York City. So anybody, all you have to be is over 18 or 21.
Over 18. I would look have to look at the application. I'm pretty sure you have to be fully employed. I believe it's not like a thing like they have very high restrictions on it. Again, you're gonna need 2 letters of recommendation. I have my sister. If my sister ever thinks I'm out of my mind, she can literally just come to my apartment and take it from me. You have to have someone who's like basically like responsible for your, like if something happened or something's going on, if someone thinks your family, like you know, they sign over that they're the ones that like. I was like, you know what? If anyone is gonna tell me to, you know, give me the fucking, you know, give me the Thule. It's gonna be my sister. Yeah, just give it to me, and I would listen to it. It'd be my sister. So like, you know, shout out Nikki Paulino. But you know, it is what it is.
Shout out Nikki, fifth and forever.
Remember?
You heard?
Exactly. She can come and claim
Live from the MC.
Shout outs to Nikki, man. Fifth and forever.
Yeah, she was always the boss. I always knew she was gonna be the Paulino boss.
No, but nonetheless, I just wanted to emphasize on this, Jay, because you know, so if you're sitting at home right now and you're watching this like on your phone,
you can
pretty much get your because I just thought off the top, like, you know, obviously I didn't do any research, but I just thought of like off the top, if you were a New Yorker, you couldn't own a gun. Like I thought at the very minimum, you're supposed to be like a business owner.
It is possible. No. To have one a home, it's not it's not a carry license. It's just I have a license to have one at the house, and it is what it is. And then that's what I have. And then I've had it for years. I've never even fired it. I've never gone to the range with it. Yeah. I've never, like I said, that was the last time I was in Georgia. You know, towards the end of it, it's so crazy because I had to wait months to hear back from them that I almost like wasn't even interested anymore. You know, like by the time they did call me on the thing. Wow. But what I'm saying is, as an American, they're draconian the rights, and I just think that anyone, unfortunately, I just know there's a lot of other options to getting guns, and I'm pro legal guns, meaning that, like, listen, man, you go through the process. I personally think I should be able to carry. Like, my point is,
everybody should be able to carry.
I guess, but I mean, listen, I think that after the scrutiny that like you have to go through the NYPD, they have my picture, they have my thumbprint. You're also giving away your anonymity, and that thing is that I've never committed a crime, but like now I'm in their system too. You know what I'm saying? Right. Something happens, I'm in the legal. So you kind of give on stuff, but again, I have no intent of anything. Like I just want to know that at the end of the day. But it's funny with everything that's going on. You know, my greatest fear is dying like, another unarmed black man. Like I want to go out shooting. I always joke about that. I was like, listen. Hey, but Jason went out armed. Like I didn't like go
Jason,
out.
how you going out?
I'm just saying, I'm tired of this narrative of the unarmed black man getting gunned down. You know, that's like just seems to be the I think that kind of trend, that narrative. I was like, nope, I was armed. It's fine, and you know what? And it's fine. And we go out and there's nothing more. Yeah, there's nothing more American than dying in a shootout. So it is what it is. There's nothing. If you guys shot America, man, you just went out like a lot of Americans, man.
No, go out and shoot out. That's not about it.
I'm just saying. We all gotta go, and I'd rather be shot than die of COVID. Kid, it looks terrible. I don't know. It is. I mean, it's like a slow painful thing. I really would be, man. I'm not gonna lie. I would not. I don't want to be on a ventilator. Like, put me out. But yeah, no. I think that's an important thing that people in this neighborhood, things like that I think people don't have access to, or people don't know the difference. But you could have to be willing to deal with all of their things, which is tough. I work downtown, so I was, for a lot of the interviews, a lot of stuff. I remember sneaking out of work a couple of times. I even take a couple of days off because, like, I'm telling you, they make it as impossible as you can imagine to get one to deal with the NYPD. And I can't imagine what it's like now post-COVID. Like, I can't imagine going to 1PP right now trying to deal with this shit, like, with COVID and all this shit going on. I have no idea what that. I would not want to like start the process right now. I think again that was BC, so it was it might be even more difficult now. But understand is that the rest of America, man, they're stocking up. They're stocking up on their guns. They got you can't get like you could if you go in there, if you do ever eventually thing, I would say get 2 sets of pictures because when you do come in, you can apply for the shotgun and rifle license there. And I just didn't want to like leave and come back. And I remember the lady's funny because she's like an older black woman, and she was like kind of like proud of me for like good job, like good for coming and get you. She was like yeah, go get your pictures and I'll we'll process your things so you don't have to do your thing again. I was like nah, I just want my 9 and that's it. I just want the sidearm. I just want that's it. You don't get too crazy. Just need one, but it's not like I said he can't walk around, but I'm just saying in this neighborhood, I don't know, like just this neighborhood, but in many neighborhoods, I'm just saying that sometimes the people who are armed, and that basically the people who are law abiding are not armed. but the people who are who are not, don't give a fuck about the police or anything that's got to do that, they're walking around, they're strapped up, and it's crazy that the people who go through all the legal roadblocks and the hoops and the whole thing are not allowed that. And as a matter of fact, the Supreme Court is looking over that case right now. Someone from New York sued so they could, because it's draconian. Like, it's crazy that it's the same thing like me, who has their license who still can't like carry, and they're like, dude, like, you just made me spend a year, like $2,000. I gave you my mother, my sister, affidavits, interviews, every document you could think of, original birth certificate, like, you have to give them everything about you, and then you still can't really walk. You can't really have it. I think, like, you should almost be like a retired cop, like in the city, where you can always, all these people have it. You don't have to, you don't have to brand this shit. You don't have to thing, The only thing I always say about all these guns, the big thing is, I think the one X factor, especially like in Dyckman and Inwood, is alcohol. I feel like, some of the most dangerous dudes I've ever seen with toolies out. And it's funny because I can almost spot it now, especially like the inner hip ones, whatever. You can see what's going on. Are like off-duty cops. They're always like on the strip and stuff. And some of them are, they're after a few drinks, they're like, titty titty bang bang. They're like a little extra. You can see they're extra like. Those are the biggest cowboys. I mean, I'm just saying, they're the dudes that you could tell. I'm like, yo, you see them, the real clean cut. And then you have just a little extra confidence. You're like, okay, those are cops, and they're all strapped, and they're just hanging out in Dyckman. And yeah, after a few hours at fucking Mama Sushi, getting drunk, they're out there. And I joke sometimes. I was with one of my friends. I think this is last summer, and there's one guy getting crazy, and my friend was like, yo, he was drinking. He's like, yo, this guy's, and I was like, don't even do it. That's definitely off-duty cop. I can tell you right now, looking at him. Yeah. They're the ones, because they know they're the ones who can, they can brandish it. They have it no matter what. They can at least, they, you have it. But I was laughing because I didn't say anything because it was, again, I forgot which, we were one of these little things on the strip. And, my friend was like, yo, they're getting loud. And they were like laughing over at us. So one of them was, he was real drunk. But there was this other table of girls next to us. We were just sitting there, whatever. So after the guys left, like all the other cops left. I don't know, again, I can't confirm, but this guy definitely was. And they were embarrassed. I think one of them was embarrassed by this one who got really, really drunk. And I'm just saying, it was just alcohol. He was just kind of feeling himself. And so when they left, I asked the girls, I was like, those were cops, weren't they? And she was like, how could you tell? They were like, I was like, yo, don't. I was like, don't mess with those dudes. Not like that, but like I was like, don't. But you could tell there was like a little extra oomph to their step, and as they drank and they're strapped, and so that's when sometimes I think to myself, yeah, man, that's another thing that you have to keep in mind, because sometimes you just feel like a little extra Supermanish. But I feel like, listen, I'm almost 40 years old. Like I understand the repercussions, like we don't, it's not like I'm thinking that, but sometimes you have to be able to protect yourself, because, we're living in a more increasingly, suspect world, it's just, and again, like nothing like 2020 to teach us that things, civilization is only civilized, The
Walking Dead could happen any minute now.
I mean, we just saw how much closer we are to that thing where people don't care about anything and except their own survival. And then, we all have our own personal feelings about things. So it's like, one person thinks that, and then it just becomes where, like, again, my freedom, my choice, but we all affect each other, in whatever reason, whatever thing. So you want still people to be reasonable, but when things are bad, people, that goes out the window. No one cares about being reasonable, or no one cares about being civilized, because it's like... Of
course, bro, I think about it all the time, especially after watching The Walking Dead. This pandemic was a perfect example of that. Because think about it, just how we were, like we were living our regular normal life, and all of a sudden, the pandemic hit. Imagine if the pandemic was like a zombie apocalypse type of situation.
Who knows, man? Maybe the vax people. I was thinking that for science, because I write science fiction. I wanted to start this book where the anti-vaxxers were right, but you know what? But it was just a fiction novel.
But where it's perfect.
I know, it's a perfect plot. It's a perfect plot. I feel like everyone would love it, would find it funny that all the vax people turn into zombies, and the anti-vax people were like, "I told you."
It's the perfect plot.
I didn't think it's perfect, but I didn't want to even give the answer, because and it's so crazy because, I was with people who consider some anti-vaxxers recently. I'm sorry to jump around, and the joke was that they were like, oh, he's a vaxxer. And I was like, really, Doug? I'm not like, now you're making it, now I'm the weirdo. I'm the guy, you're like looking at me like I'm crazy. So I think it's very interesting, all the topics. So yeah, protect yourself at all times. Like I said, I don't know. I got all my shots, whether it's my Glock or my whatever it is. I think you just have to be able to, like.
You getting the booster?
I definitely am gonna get the booster. Yes, 100%. It's like 8 months, whatever it is. See what's going on in the 6 months. That thing is like the simplest, tiny. Like I've never I don't know the last time I got a vacuna, whatever it is. I was a kid, whatever it is. But it is like this thing. Like it's like. And like it is like the lightest tap. Like you've seen videos of people and they're like, oh, that was it. It is literally like someone going like this. And like the first time I remember I worked out before it. Oh no, I'm definitely going to, because listen, we're still living in this place where it's like 50% people didn't get it. And I'm just saying, like, it's a personal thing for me. Like, why not? You know what I'm saying? We live in America. That's the casual supremacy. We got the we got the good stuff. We got the good meds, man.
Casual supremacy.
Exactly. And we're part of it. We're part of that game, man. We're still part of that upper. We're so lucky to be Americans. We have first access to all this stuff, man. People are coming in from around the world, coming in from DR, people coming in just to, get their vax, and it's different, and so it's so crazy that, the rates here are so high because there's just so many of these pockets. But again, that's one of those things, people want to debate, but the numbers are in, man. It is what it is. But the protection mostly for the person of not, being hospitalized or having to die. Like, that's why I don't tell anyone, you can do whatever you want. Like, my whole point is I'm someone who's vaxxed, but, like, I don't have anything to do with mandates or any of this stuff. And I'm telling you, it's not about health or that they even care about your health. They just don't, they just don't want to be sued. This is all about liability. That's what's crazy about America, is they do not give a shit about your health. I mean, maybe they do to a certain point, but again, as a collective, I think, again, it does tax, the hospitals, the ICUs, the things that are happening right now. We're having an issue where we just don't, people are dying of regular things because they can't get an ICU bed because there's so many people, on oxygen. It's just not something that, even though we're tired of talking about COVID, unfortunately, COVID is not tired of us yet. And because of our like half-assed kind of approach to it, it just shows what the numbers are right now. I'm just saying that. Whatever way you want to look at it, I think it's affected everybody.
You don't think New York's been doing pretty good?
Yeah, because it has a pretty high. We were one of those people who embraced it, for the most part. And I do think, like, again, there were pockets of areas that people was going on. I don't know. Again, you don't know what the IU is. As the New York is probably one of the, compared to like the South right now, Arkansas, Tennessee, Florida, Texas, Missouri, like some of those older, like those belts, they got really, a lot of that Trump country became very anti-vax, and they're learning the hard way. A lot of those, these people who are on radio, a lot of these conservative anti-vaxxers, a lot of them, they're all dying. In August, I think 4 or 5 of them died. Like, hosts who were very big anti-vaxxers said they would never get it. And then you see every day, on my Twitter, I'm always putting up people who are just like, you know what, I was totally against it. And then my husband died. Then I'm in the hospital. Then I'm in ICU. Then I'm in a ventilator. You're seeing all these stories over and over and over again. People who just think that, like, oh, I'm healthy, I'm young, it's not going to affect me. Only 1% of the people who get COVID, die. People make all these things. I saw this one that I posted. This woman who said that because she had O positive blood, all these, again, this misinformation that I feel like there's no way that someone else is not influencing some of the misinformation. And you're seeing it, a lot of this, like Facebook, all these people who are telling you to do the research. I'm like, you mean Google? Like, I'm not a doctor, like, yeah. I don't argue with the dude who fixes my car. I don't argue with the dude who fixes the airplane. I don't argue with the dude who fixes the elevator. I don't ever think that there are just certain things in this life that are above our pay grade, are above our understanding. And we have to be humble enough to accept the things that just, what I'm saying? This is not like I should not be commenting on this. We're seeing what's going on in Texas with these abortion laws. And you're like, some things are just like, as a man, you really should not be, making laws against, women's bodies. It's the same thing. It's like all these things that, again, they just have a very selective way of how they carve it up. It's like gerrymandering, like it's just very easily to protect certain interests. And so we just live in this country where we're gonna have to just stay aware and stay awake because a lot of things are happening. I think you just can be smart and not try to overreact. And like I said, I feel very lucky to be part of the casual supremacy, to be part of America, to be part of all this. But I want to be aware. I want to be smarter. I want to survive. Ooh,
Live from the MC. Oh,
we gotta do the best. That's the only chance we got, man. Is to play this game like don't hate the player, you hate the game, but if you play to win, and I think we have to just that's what casual supremacy. That's what this hour is gonna be about. Is about how to do the best at winning, how to prepare yourself mentally, physically. Just every way you can, and to understand that things are important to you and how they connect to the past, and not even even with what I was saying about, Gary Webb, these things are within our lifetime, and how they've changed, our reality today. And I think that is, my mission for the Casual Supremacy Hour here with the Dyckman podcast.